Most people think muscle loss only happens when you stop exercising or when you get older. But here's the surprising truth. Your muscles can start disappearing quietly even if you're active, even if you lift weights, even if you walk daily, all because of one missing nutrient in your diet. And the scary part is, you might not notice it at first. You just feel a little weaker climbing the stairs. Your grip strength isn't what it used to be. You get tired faster carrying groceries or lifting something around the house. These subtle changes can signal something much bigger happening beneath the surface. Muscle isn't just about strength or appearance. From a neuroscience and physiology perspective, muscle is an organ of longevity. It's deeply tied to how your brain ages, how your metabolism works, even how well you regulate blood sugar and mood. In fact, research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows that people with higher muscle mass tend to live longer, healthier lives, not because of vanity, but because muscle acts like a metabolic engine. It burns fuel, stabilizes hormones, and protects your nervous system against decline. But here's where it gets fascinating. There's a specific vitamin that serves as a kind of ignition switch for muscle health. Without it, your body struggles to synthesize protein efficiently. Your mitochondria can't generate enough energy, and your nervous system can't fully activate muscle fibers. The result? You slowly lose lean tissue, no matter how hard you work in the gym or how carefully you watch your protein intake. Today, we're going to unpack this hidden link between nutrition, muscle, and your nervous system. We'll explore the research, the neuroscience, and the psychology behind why this vitamin matters so much. More importantly, I'll give you practical tools, simple strategies you can apply in your daily life to make sure your muscles don't just survive, but thrive. So if you've ever wondered why your body feels weaker than it should, why your recovery takes longer, or why exercise isn't giving you the results it used to, this conversation could be the missing piece. We've covered a lot of ground together. We started by identifying the vegetables that quietly work against seniors' strength and energy, then shifted to the ones that truly deserve a spot on your plate. From there, we dug into how nutrition connects with muscle health, brain function, and even long-term independence. And in the last section, we talked about future-proofing, how to not just get by today, but to thrive in the decades to come. Here's the core truth. Aging isn't just about the number of candles on your birthday cake. It's about how well your body and brain adapt to time. Some people in their 70s feel sharper and stronger than folks 20 years younger. And that's no accident. They're not simply lucky. They've been consistently making choices, small but powerful ones, that protect their muscles, fuel their brain, and keep their systems resilient. The vegetables you choose play a bigger role in that process than most people realize. Think about it this way. Every bite is a message to your body. Some messages tell your cells to store fat, inflame joints, or break down muscle. Others tell them to build, repair, and protect. By cutting out the wrong vegetables, those that spike blood sugar or add unnecessary stress, and prioritizing the right ones, you're sending signals that say stay strong, stay sharp, keep going. But food alone isn't the full story. Your muscles are like a savings account. You deposit strength with each meal and each exercise session. Ignore it for too long, and the balance runs low. Stay consistent, and you'll always have reserves to draw on when life demands more of you. The same is true for your brain. Every book you read, every new skill you practice, every walk you take outdoors, it all adds deposits into your cognitive reserve. That's what helps protect you against decline later on. There's another layer to this mindset. It's easy to slip into thinking that decline is inevitable, that aches, weakness, and forgetfulness are simply the price of getting older. But neuroscience, nutrition science, and psychology all point to the same conclusion. Decline may be common, but it's not destiny. You can shape the trajectory of your health more than most people believe. And it starts with simple, repeatable habits, the ones you put on your plate, the movements you build into your day, the calm you carve out for your mind. If there's one takeaway to hold on to, it's this. Your body and brain are constantly listening. They're adapting to the food you eat, the challenges you embrace, the rest you allow. Future-proofing is less about massive overhauls and more about steady, intentional signals over time. Eat the vegetables that nourish, move in ways that strengthen, think in ways that grow. So the next time you open the fridge, or plan a meal, or decide whether to take a walk or stay on the couch, remember that you're not just choosing for today, You're casting a vote for your future self, the one who wants to keep walking confidently, thinking clearly, and living independently. And the good news is, you don't need to be perfect. Progress, not perfection, is what carries you forward. Your muscles and your brain are two of your greatest assets. Protect them, invest in them, challenge them. And most importantly, trust that the effort you make now will echo for years, maybe decades to come. That's the real power of these choices. They're not just about extending life, but about expanding the quality of life, so you can keep showing up, not just as an older version of yourself, but as a stronger, wiser, more vibrant one. When we talk about healthy aging, most advice focuses on the short term. Eat this, avoid that, exercise a little more. All of that matters, of course, but the real question is, how do you set yourself up not just to feel good this week, but to stay strong, sharp, and independent 5, 10, or 20 years from now? That's where future-proofing your muscles and brain comes in. Let's start with muscles. One of the biggest challenges as we age is sarcopenia, the slow, steady loss of muscle mass. This isn't just about looking weaker in the mirror. Muscle is a reservoir of glucose control, balance, and joint protection. Lose too much of it, and everyday activities like getting up from a chair or climbing stairs can become harder than they should be. Even worse, low muscle mass increases the risk of falls and fractures, which can drastically reduce quality of life. The key to future-proofing your muscles is combining nutrition with movement. Protein intake is essential, and the current science suggests older adults may actually need more protein per meal than younger people to stimulate muscle growth. Aim for 25-30 grams of high-quality protein at each meal, whether that's from eggs, fish, poultry, legumes, or even a scoop of whey or plant-based protein powder if you find it hard to reach those levels with food alone. Add resistance exercise to the mix. Simple bodyweight squats, resistance bands, or light weights are enough, and you're telling your muscles to stay active, stay strong, and resist decline. But muscles are only half the picture. The other piece is your brain. Cognitive decline is not inevitable, but it does become a risk as the years pass. And here's the fascinating part. The strategies that protect your muscles often protect your brain as well. Let's take physical activity. Every time you move your body, you're not just strengthening muscle fibers. You're improving circulation, boosting oxygen delivery, and increasing the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your neurons. It helps brain cells grow stronger connections, supports memory, and may even slow down the processes linked to Alzheimer's and other dementias. So when you're doing those squats or brisk walks, you're literally training your brain to stay younger. Nutrition plays a dual role here too. The same vegetables, healthy fats, and lean proteins that fuel muscle repair also feed your brain. Omega-3 fatty acids, for example, are vital for the fluidity of your neurons' membranes. Leafy greens provide folate and vitamin K, which have been linked to slower cognitive decline. And avoiding excess sugar doesn't just prevent diabetes, it also protects your brain from the damaging effects of insulin resistance. There's also the mental side of future-proofing. Muscles atrophy when they're not used, and the brain works in a similar way. If you only stick to old routines, watch the same shows, and avoid challenging yourself, your brain has fewer reasons to adapt and strengthen. The antidote is novelty. Learning a new language, playing an instrument, picking up a hobby like gardening or painting. These aren't just leisure activities. They're cognitive training sessions that keep your brain resilient. What ties all of this together is the idea of stress. Chronic, unmanaged stress is one of the fastest ways to age both body and brain. High cortisol levels break down muscle tissue and impair memory. That's why relaxation practices, deep breathing, meditation, even a walk in nature aren't optional extras. They're fundamental tools for keeping both systems functioning. So future-proofing isn't about waiting for problems to show up and then scrambling to fix them. It's about consistently giving your body and brain the inputs they need: protein, movement, mental challenges, and stress management. Think of it as planting seeds. The more care you put in today, the stronger the harvest you'll reap in the years to come. We've established that vitamin D is central to muscle health, energy, and motivation. But here's something most people don't realize. Getting enough vitamin D isn't just about popping a supplement or sitting in the sun. The timing, the way you take it, and what you pair it with can dramatically change how much of it your body actually absorbs and uses. Let's start with a simple fact. Vitamin D is fat soluble. That means your body absorbs it best when it's taken with fat. If you're taking your vitamin D supplement with just water on an empty stomach, you might only be getting a fraction of the benefit. Research published in the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research showed that vitamin D absorption doubled when taken with a meal that contained fat compared to a fat-free meal. So here's a practical protocol. Take your vitamin D with a meal that includes healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, or fatty fish. That way your digestive system can pull it into the bloodstream more effectively. Sunlight is another key piece, but timing matters. The best window for natural vitamin D synthesis is when the sun is higher in the sky, usually between late morning and early afternoon. At those times, the UVB rays are strong enough to trigger vitamin D production in your skin. Just 10 to 15 minutes with your arms and legs exposed can generate thousands of international units, depending on skin tone and latitude. But here's the catch. Sunscreen blocks UVB, and so does clothing. That doesn't mean you should burn or overexpose yourself. Balance is crucial. Short, regular sessions are better than occasional long exposures. Here's something else fascinating. Your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock, plays a role in how nutrients are used. Taking vitamin D earlier in the day may be better for sleep quality because vitamin D interacts with melatonin, the hormone that governs your sleep-wake cycle. Some studies suggest that taking it at night can interfere with melatonin production in certain people, making it harder to fall asleep. So a simple tool is to take your vitamin D in the morning or at lunchtime paired with a meal. This way you get both better absorption and less risk of sleep disruption. What about dosage? That depends on your baseline. A blood test is the gold standard to know where you stand. Many people, especially in northern climates or those who spend most of their time indoors, are deficient without realizing it. While general recommendations often hover around 600 to 800 IU per day, research shows that higher doses in the range of 1,000 to 2,000 IU or more are often needed to maintain optimal blood levels, particularly for muscle health. Of course, it's important to personalize this with your healthcare provider because vitamin D is one nutrient where more isn't always better. Excessive intake can cause issues with calcium balance. Another strategy is synergy. Vitamin D doesn't work alone. It partners with nutrients like magnesium and vitamin K2. Magnesium is needed to activate vitamin D in the body, and without it, your supplement might not be fully effective. Vitamin K2 helps guide calcium into bones and muscles, instead of letting it build up in arteries. So think of vitamin D as the conductor of the orchestra, but without the other musicians, magnesium, K2, healthy fats, the music won't sound right. A practical habit here could look like this in the morning. Take your vitamin D with breakfast. Something like eggs cooked in olive oil with avocado on the side. Pair it with magnesium-rich foods like nuts or leafy greens. If supplementation is needed, add a combined D3 and K2 capsule. Then, later in the day, get a short walk in the sunlight to reinforce your body's natural production. These stacked habits create a rhythm where vitamin D is consistently available for your muscles, brain, and mitochondria. What this really means is that vitamin D isn't just about getting enough. It's about using it wisely. When you time it right, pair it with the right foods, and support it with its nutritional partners, you unlock its full potential. That's when your muscles recover faster, your motivation feels stronger, and your energy lasts longer. When we think about muscle, we often focus only on the physical side, protein, strength training, recovery. But there's another dimension that's just as important, psychology. Because here's the truth. The strength of your muscles is tied to the strength of your motivation. And surprisingly, vitamin D has a role here too. Let's start with the brain chemistry. Motivation largely depends on dopamine, the neurotransmitter that drives desire, effort, and reward. Dopamine isn't just about feeling good. It's about the willingness to act. Research from Trends in Neurosciences shows that dopamine is the key signal your brain uses to decide whether the effort of moving is worth it. Without enough dopamine, even small tasks can feel overwhelming, and exercise becomes harder to start and harder to sustain. Here's where vitamin D enters the picture. Studies have found that vitamin D receptors are present in the same brain regions that regulate dopamine, including the substantia nigra Low vitamin D has been linked to reduced dopamine activity, and this can show up in your life as low drive, low mood, or that sense of, I know I should move, but I just can't get myself to do it. Have you ever noticed how some days you can't wait to get outside, move your body, and tackle challenges, while other days you feel stuck in quicksand? Part of that fluctuation is psychological, but part of it is physiological, the chemistry of your brain. Vitamin D deficiency tilts the balance toward apathy, fatigue, and procrastination. That's why muscle health isn't just about lifting weights. It's about protecting the neural systems that generate motivation to move in the first place. Here's what's empowering. Motivation isn't purely willpower. It's a state you can support with habits. One tool supported by behavioral science is the concept of activation energy. The harder it is to start an activity, the less likely you are to do it. So reduce the activation energy. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Set a pair of walking shoes by the door. Pair your vitamin D supplement with a morning routine that signals time to move. These small cues train your brain to associate action with less resistance. Another helpful tool is what psychologists call temptation bundling. Pair something you enjoy with movement. Listen to your favorite podcast only while walking. Watch a show only while on a stationary bike. Your dopamine system learns to anticipate the reward, and movement becomes linked to pleasure rather than effort. Combine that with adequate vitamin D, and you're supporting both the biology and the psychology of motivation. And here's something worth remembering. Muscle isn't only built in the gym. Every time you choose to take the stairs instead of the elevator, walk instead of drive, or stretch while watching TV, you're reinforcing both the physical fibers of your muscles and the motivational circuits of your brain. Those small choices compound over time. If insights like this resonate with you, if you're realizing that motivation isn't just about willpower, but about supporting your brain and body with the right tools, I'd invite you to subscribe to this channel. This is exactly what we do here, bring neuroscience and psychology into everyday life so you can build habits that actually stick. And the more people join this community, the more we all get to grow together. The big takeaway is this: movement is medicine, but motivation is the spark that makes you take the dose. And vitamin D is deeply tied to that spark. By protecting your dopamine pathways, it helps ensure that movement doesn't feel like a chore, but like a natural, even enjoyable part of your day. That's not just about stronger muscles. That's about building a life where energy, resilience, and drive are the default. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to recover effortlessly from exercise, while others feel sore, drained, or sluggish for days, the answer often comes down to what's happening inside their cells, specifically their mitochondria. These tiny power plants generate the energy your muscles and nervous system need to function. And here again, vitamin D plays a critical role. Let's start with the basics. Every time you move, your muscles need adenosine triphosphate, ATP. That's the energy currency of the body. Mitochondria produce ATP by processing oxygen and nutrients. The more efficient your mitochondria, the more energy your muscles can produce, and the faster they recover after stress. But here's what the research shows. When vitamin D levels are low, mitochondrial function declines. A study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that deficiency was linked to reduced oxidative capacity, meaning your cells couldn't generate energy as effectively. The result is simple: faster fatigue, slower recovery. Think about the last time you tried to climb a hill, lift weights, or even just carry heavy groceries. If you felt like your energy vanished halfway through, that's what poor mitochondrial performance feels like. Your body has the machinery, but without the right cofactors, like vitamin D, the machinery sputters. It's like having a car engine running on low-grade fuel. You can press the gas pedal, but the acceleration just isn't there. Here's what's fascinating. Mitochondria don't only live in your muscles, they're in your brain cells, too. When your vitamin D levels are low, you don't just feel physical fatigue, you feel mental fatigue, brain fog, slower thinking, difficulty focusing. That's because the same cellular process that powers your muscles is also fueling your neurons. This is why vitamin D deficiency is linked not just to weaker performance, but also to mood disturbances and cognitive decline. So, how do you actually improve this? The first tool is to make sure your vitamin D levels are sufficient, because vitamin D regulates genes involved in mitochondrial energy production. But there's a second layer here. Mitochondria thrive on stress, the right kind of stress. Exercise, especially resistance training and interval training, challenges your mitochondria to adapt. With enough vitamin D, your cells can actually respond to that stress by building more mitochondria and improving their efficiency. It's called mitochondrial biogenesis, and it's one of the reasons exercise is so protective against aging. Have you ever noticed how, after a period of regular exercise, the same activity suddenly feels easier? That's not just your muscles getting stronger, it's your mitochondria multiplying and becoming more efficient. And when vitamin D is present, that adaptation process is smoother and faster. Here's a practical tool you can use. Pair your vitamin D intake with physical activity. For example, take your vitamin D supplement with a meal that includes healthy fats, and then go for a walk in the sunlight, if possible. The meal improves absorption, the walk activates your mitochondria, and the sunlight boosts your natural vitamin D production. It's a simple protocol that stacks benefits together. Recovery is another critical piece. Without sufficient vitamin D, inflammation lingers longer after exercise. That soreness you feel isn't just from micro tears in the muscle, it's also from the immune response that repairs those tears. Vitamin D modulates that process, calming excessive inflammation so your body can repair efficiently. Athletes who are deficient often report feeling sore for days longer than they should. By correcting deficiency, you give your body the chance to heal at the pace it's designed to. What this really means is that fatigue isn't always about being out of shape. Sometimes it's about your cells being underfueled at the most basic level. Vitamin D is like the switch that allows mitochondria to work at full capacity. Without it, even the best nutrition and training won't deliver the energy you need. With it, you're not just stronger, you're more resilient, both physically and mentally.